Jonelle again. Today we're going to go over the notes page. When you get into your student's notes page, sometimes there are multiple lists of notes. If those IEPs or addendums have been affirmed and attested and you can currently see them um, in the amendment section or in the current IEP, then you can go ahead and delete them. They've already been memorialized in SEIS and you do not need to have each set of notes for future IEPs. So you can go ahead and delete those ones if they have been affirmed and tested. So please make sure you check that first. You can click this green button to add in a new set of notes. For Sarah Brown, we're just going to go over this one page. There is a pencil, a garbage can, and a print form. We're going to go into the pencil because we are going to go ahead and edit this form, all right? So the first thing you're going to have here is the date. Make sure that you're putting the date that you're actually having this IEP. If it is a multi-part one, just make sure that you're listing that information in here, but also providing that. Okay, so the notes page, we want to make sure that appropriate notes are taken during the IEP process. It is very critical to document the team's discussion. Notes are essential because they do provide a written record as to what had transpired during that IEP meeting. They're not meant as a direct transcript. We don't need anything to be verbatim, but to summarize the highlights that were discussed and agreed upon. As a reminder, IEP notes are the property of the district and are not required to be changed or altered based on parent request. If parents have comments on IEP notes, we recommend that they submit them in a form on a separate sheet called Parent Response to IEP Document, and we can attach it to the IEP. If you do have parents that are asking time and time again to continue to adjust notes, please talk to your program specialist so that they can walk you through this process, all right? Documenting IEP participants, you want to make sure that all the IEP members by name and title are listed. This establishes that the FUSD has satisfied its obligation under IDEA to have the necessary IEP team members participating in the IEP. The note should also reflect proper excusal of IEP team members, along with having the signed excusal form in the absence of an invited IEP member, if applicable. Okay. A huge part of the IEP process is parental input. So make sure that you're documenting the participation of the parents in the IEP meeting. It's a legal requirement for the parents to be part of it and in the development of their IEP. Maybe things such as parent questions and their concerns, any input that they have, especially if it's something that is positive, you want to make sure to add those. It demonstrates that the requirement of parental participation is satisfied. The IEP note should reflect, where appropriate, the parents' areas of agreement, if they disagree, if they request or they have additional comments. Remember, if there are questions or there are concerns provided by the parent, list those out, but you should also be listing out how the district responded to it. Don't just put a concern and let it go by. It's what were the parents' concerns or questions, and then how did the team respond to them? How did they answer it? So that we could see that within the notes that these are the concerns, but we were able to address it through X, Y, and Z. Okay. Fundamentals of the IEP note taking. The district should also record, this is what I was just talking about, sorry, the parent request or concern. Where the district agrees, the district should document that it agrees with parent's request and how they will implement it, or if they disagree, they should provide that they will follow up with the parents regarding a decision, and that's usually through a prior written notice. If a parent is requesting for, let's just say, a one-on-one paraeducator for their student, we wouldn't automatically say yes or no. That is a request that would need to be provided and followed up with the family with a prior written notice within 15 days of the request. So If you do have some huge requests that you just don't know how to handle them, connect with your program specialist and or your admin, and you will probably have access to sample prior written notices to be able to complete. All right. But essentially, throughout your notes, you're going to want to add in information. I won't read through all of this. I'll allow you guys time to pause it. But you want to go through. You don't have to write down every single page and what was discussed on there, nor do you want to have verbatim, principal said this, RSP teacher said this, mom said this, but kind of generally highlight the major points from the IEP. Okay. And at the end, it's usually beneficial to add in whether or not the parents either agreed to the IEP or if they didn't agree, or if the team either needs to have a part two and maybe what some of those follow up components are. But how did the team wrap the IEP up? That the meeting was adjourned, parent consented and signed the IEP, or maybe that the team is going to meet for a part two IEP, but they will, the team will draft up an additional goal in the meantime. Okay, so just make sure that you have that information as to how your IEP concluded, because let's just say the student moves to a different school or a different state, they'll be able to read the IEP, especially the notes, and kind of get an idea of what happened at that last IEP and where it was at the end of the IEP. Did they agree? Or if they didn't, does that new school district or new school need to follow up with the family and have another IEP to address some of those other concerns that were not completed yet? All right. If you have questions, feel free to talk to your program specialist. All right, guys, that's the notes page. Thank you.